Tullis, Selectman Brock for the second. All in favor of re-entering the regular meeting, please say aye. Opposed, nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. All right. Then the next item would be item number 10. I'd move that we consider approving T E Lott and Company, Certified Public Accountants, 221 North 7th Street, Columbus, Mississippi, 39703-0471 to perform a risk management assessment for the city of McComb at a rate of $4,000 to $5,000 and approving a budget amendment for the same. Can I have a motion and a second? Selectman Cameron and Selectman McKenzie. At the work session, we talked about this, and Selectman Witherspoon asked a great question. Why can't we just slow down a little bit? Department heads, that's exactly what this is that we would, I would ask the board to engage this company to come in to perform a risk assessment, to look at our internal controls, to give us reports on the strengths and weaknesses of our internal controls. Us as a body of the Board of Mayor and Selectmen report on, they'll interview management, department heads, and the people that are in positions that need to be interviewed concerning internal controls, and then report to us. And then, we would, let's get that process done, that reporting done, and then we'll look at what, if we're going to step out and take the second part, which would be the actual engagement where we bring them back quarterly to continue to reevaluate and reassess and evaluate our internal controls to see how we're doing as a city. And so that would be my recommendation that we engage this group for this assessment. They'll get started, if they would do this, we'd start probably in the month of April, sometime after the 15th, and spend they come and they spend 2 or 3 days here, going through our processes and discussing with people in positions that are in positions that need to be interviewed concerning internal controls, just to see where we are. And discussion. Selectman Hill.
I would like to see this item on the table. I would like for us to hear from our own city administrator in his department first, to present to us what have they done to solve the issue within our internal system. And also, I'd like to ask Mr. Lockley, our city administrator, do you recommend this for the city of McComb?
Well, first off, you've got a motion to table. Is that correct?
I would like the motion. I would like to see it.
You want to make the motion to table?
Yes, sir.
All right, there's a motion to table. Is there a second?
Second.
Selectman Brock, second the motion to table. Discussion on the motion to table?
No, I thought this.
No, table the motion.
The motion is to table and to postpone this discussion. So, all in favor of tabling the motion, please say aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, 2 opposed, 4 in favor. So we're not going to table Selectman Hill. We're going to proceed on, and so the discussion will be about whether we engage this firm to do a risk assessment.
Okay, so my question was to Mr. Lockley, do you recommend this for the city of McComb?
I understand this is not my recommendation. This is the recommendation coming from the mayor. I would not recommend this. I don't see a need for it, but this is the recommendation coming from the mayor. And as always, whatever this board decides to do, we will do.
And Selectman Hill, and there again, what we're doing here, this is a report for us. This would be for the body of Board of Mayor and Selectmen, and we'd actually be looking at management and looking at what they're doing, and internally with internal controls to see how we stack up and how we measure up. And so for if I were sitting in this position, no, I wouldn't want this oversight coming in and looking at me. It'd just be, heck no, man, I'm doing fine, I'm doing great, and that's what he should say. But to say that I need, he can't make that statement. You just can't make that statement. Selectman Brock.
The last meeting that we had, work session, I asked that board slow down also and to let's hear from the city administrator to see where we are, what we have city ourselves. I've listened to all of us. We don't know what we have. We haven't gotten a clear understanding. We haven't talked to, we can talk to department heads ourselves. Why do we need someone else to come in to do something that we haven't even attempted to do?
Because, you know, they bring an expertise to the table that we don't have. And you, and as the mayor, and I would hope as you as a board, you would want to have an internal auditing team come in to do this kind of work for you, just to have a look at what your manager's doing. This is us looking at management.
Yes, but after.
And so you want these people that have this expertise to come in and do this for you on your behalf and give you a report. And so, you know, that's what I believe you should want, or would want.
Well, I think I want the same thing you want, Mayor, but we need to have it in order. We're skipping 2 and going to 3. We need to stop at 2 and hear from the city of McComb what we are doing here before we spend $4,000, $5,000 of citizen money. And in this item 10 here, it doesn't separate anything from what the gentleman proposed at the work session. There's nothing in here that separates or say this is going to be a cutoff of anything. It's just part of what he presented. And I don't see anything in item 10 that even will stop us from, once we vote tonight, to move forward with the quarterly report.
Okay, well, I would refer you to pages 31-1 and 2, and it clearly spells out exactly what it's about. And you read it, that's exactly what it's just this one item. If you take step 2, it's going to be a different board consideration. So it's there for your reading. And we have heard from our city administrator that our controls are perfect. He has told you that. Okay? You have had that report.
And the guy that we're hiring there has told you nothing's perfect, even hiring him.
You know, that's exactly, maybe so. That's maybe what he said. Sure. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, but we've heard from management. We've heard that our controls are perfect. He's given you that report. He's given that to us. I'm asking you to step out and try to bring in this team to look at it and evaluate and give us that report. Selectman Hill.
Yes, sir, thank you. Not only did Administrator Lockley say that everything was fine, the guy that presented, Mr. Lott, said that everything that we had internal and external was fine as well. Just wanted to add that.
Based on what he heard.
Based on what he came and discussed. I'm guessing he saw some things as well.
Based on what he heard, he hadn't looked at anything. Selectman Hill. Selectwoman with us, Mayor.
Mayor, this item is just asking to perform a risk management assessment.
That's it. And, you know, that's right.
And he's going to meet with the department heads.
Management, department heads, those that are,
Lockley.
yes, and they, exactly. And bring them in and let them discuss department by department, you know, operation by operation. What are your internal controls? Who are you reporting to? Who's monitoring? All those kind of things that we should want to know as a board to let us know that we're
And the price is $4,000.
$4,000 to $5,000. That's right. That is the number for that step. And then, you know, then that report will immediately come back to this board, and then you'll say, you know, let's wait to hear what they say, what they report to us, and then you'll have a basis to make a good decision.
Yeah.
Selectman Hill.
Thank you. I would want to use this example. I'm going to use the city finances as my child. I would rather talk to my child myself if he had mental issues or any type of issue, disorders. I like to talk to my child first because I know my child more than anybody. Before I go hire a psychiatrist, they deal with misdiagnoses at any given moment. Before doing that, I would like to, before spending money, I would like to deal with what we have at home first and see what we have. It's not, I want the same thing that you want. As Selectman Brock said, we feel like we're skipping a step. That's all. We need to figure out what we have here, because nobody knows what we have going on at home. Nobody. And I would like to know myself.
Selectman McKenzie.
I think you just answered the question. Nobody knows what's going on. That's why we wanna hire this person to make sure it's all going on perfect. And for $4,000 or $5,000, I think we can find that out if it's something we need to go to the next step or not.
Okay, we'll call it vote.
We're not through the discussion yet. Anybody else? Second one with us when you have questions?
I just want mention to Selectman Hill too, say that was a good point what you said, but, you know, if your child suicide, commit suicide.
All right, and there again, this is something, a way for us to look, to have someone independent and come in and look at our internal controls, just for us to look in and evaluate management and how they're handling our internal controls. And that's the only way we're gonna get it, is to bring someone in and let them do that, has that expertise. This firm has it. You know, we all know what kind of report we want to hear. We hear from management that it is perfect, and Mr. Lott said, based on what he heard, seems like we're going to be fine. But you need to have this engaged this team to come in here to take this step for us. Selectman Cameron, is that your hand, sir?
First of all, it's not perfect. If it were perfect, we would not have just entered into executive session. What we discussed in executive session, to me, is major. If it were perfect, we would not have been in executive session. You know, if my kid's got a problem, I'm not a psychiatrist, my kid's going to somebody professional to take care of the problem. You know, if I twist my ankle, I'm going to an orthopedist. I'm not going to.
Show it to him.
I'm not going to my wife and ask her what she thinks about my ankle. She knows me better than anybody, but I'm not going to her to ask her about my ankle. We got problems, that's evident, we're just trying to fix it.
Okay, anything else? City Administrator, you have something?
Yes, I hear the word perfect being floating around here. I never said we had a perfect system. I said we have good internal controls. Good internal controls. And the man stood up there and said, no matter how many internal controls you have in place, if you have a bad employee, those internal controls will not stop that employee who wants to steal from stealing. He said that. So I have said we have good internal control. When a person is bad and want to manipulate those controls, they can do that. And that's what happened with our system. It does not indicate that we don't have good internal controls. That was just a person, a bad person, who manipulated the system. And that happens, and we see it happen even at the state level with the correction. He manipulated the system, and the state auditor was the one responsible for auditing him. And he manipulated the system. So when you got a bad person, they can manipulate the system, and it'll take time to catch them, but they be caught.
Selectman Cameron?
I mean, yeah, you've got tons of people that can manipulate the system, but that's also like telling us we don't need a police chief, or we don't need the police out there, you know, patrolling the streets. We got bad people that's gonna manipulate the system. We got bad people that's gonna commit crimes.
But we found, not nobody else,
I'm not,
you know.
and